Hi, I'm Emma and welcome to another one of our baking videos from Honeybuns Bakery here in Dorset. Today I'm going to do roasted tomatoes, which I can show you the finished product here. Hopefully they're not all going to fall out the tray, but you get the idea. Those are the oven roasted tomatoes because you can use these for any manner of things. They are a beautiful, full flavoured, additive-free, homemade alternative to sun-dried tomatoes that you get in a jar, which I find quite oftentimes really expensive. You're buying additives that you don't want, and also they're really leathery and not particularly tasty anyway. It's almost like you have to rehydrate them before you use them, where these still have some succulency to them, that you've ratcheted up the flavour of the humble tomato by slow roasting them, and you ratchet that flavour up and that sweetness naturally without needing to use sugar, any added sugar or any added salt for that matter. So a really, really lovely, simple, homemade recipe. The beautiful thing about this is that you can, if you've still got tomato gluts or your neighbours have, then it's a great way of using up fresh tomatoes, and then they can be stored. I'll explain that a little bit later on, but they can be stored in a kilner jar for the months ahead. What do you use these for? I would use them, they're delicious just to snack on, to be honest. They're really, really yummy. This was a fuller tray before the video. We've all been picking at them. You can use them as tapas. You can whiz them up in a little mini food processor and use them as a dip. You can serve them with cheese and salads. You can add them to pasta, rice dishes. They go really well in curries, soups, you name it really. They're a really lovely, lovely thing to have in your fridge, stored in a kilner jar. So how to make them, it's really easy. 500 grams of tomatoes. I use the cherry tomatoes. You can use the baby plum ones or just common or garden salad tomatoes, which you'd need to chop up and dice. With these, I chop them in half. I also then added 6 garlic cloves, which are thinly sliced lengthways along the garlic clove, so they look like slithers of flaked almond. They get lobbed in. Before you go too far forward, you need to remember, before I forget, to preheat your oven to 100 degrees C, and that's probably the lowest setting that you'll have marked on your oven. That is correct. So it's a super low oven, and you're going to have the oven on for quite a while. You then add your oil. This is a really nice one. It's Prima Donna, available from Lidl. It's Spanish, it's full flavoured, really good value, £2 or thereabouts I think for the bottle, and yeah, really, really not worth splurging on anything more, I don't think, for this recipe. Balsamic vinegar is wonderful used in this recipe because it caramelises, it gives a really lovely stickiness and sweetness to the tomatoes. Yeah, really superb, and not a fancy one. This was from Sainsbury's. All the supermarkets do their own versions. If you want to splurge and you want something a bit different, then today we're going to highlight Dorset Nectar, that's the company. Apple cider vinegar is what they make. They're based in Bridport, which is just down the road from us here in Dorset. A really lovely company, small independent, beautiful, beautiful product. You can take this for gut health daily by the tablespoon, mix it into a smoothie, or in this case, you can sub it in for a balsamic. Really, really lovely. Check them out. Tumble all of this together, so you've got your oil in there, you've got your vinegar, you've got your tomatoes, you've got your 6 cloves of garlic. You're going to add some cracked black pepper. I would suggest a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of that, depending on how peppery you want it. And then your fresh herbage, which I just snip in with the scissors. I did say, I was quite pedantic about the measurements in the original recipe. I did say 4 teaspoons of chopped herbage. I would say, to make it easier for you visually, I'd say kind of like a little bunch, like so. This is oregano, thyme and basil fresh would work. I really recommend that you get hold of fresh herbs. It does make a heck of a difference. I'm not particularly keen on the dried stuff. So hopefully you can get hold of that. Windowsill is a really excellent for growing it. I find the oregano here, anyway, we're on clay, grows really well. The thyme I tend to struggle with. It doesn't like getting wet in the winter, so I keep it in pots slightly raised off the ground, if that's helpful, I don't know. Pop that, once you've tumbled all of the ingredients together, so you've coated the tomatoes in that dressing, put it in the oven an hour and a half. So an hour and a half gives you that result, and you can see that well, hopefully you can, they shrivel up a little bit, the flesh retracts from the skin, and you get a really lovely caramelised treacliness to the bottom of the tin and around the edges of the tomatoes. So I hope you can see that. They're really yummy, and they're still quite vibrant in colour, and they're still quite succulent, as opposed to the shop bought leathery, I've described them as sun-dried tomatoes. So you can go with that. That was an hour and a half. Clearly, if you've got the oven on for that long, it's well worth doing batches of these so you're using the oven efficiently. I decided to try going a little bit longer with these. So these were in for an extra 20 minutes, so that's 1 hour 50, nearly 2 hours. And I love these. They're a lot drier. You've still got some juiciness in them, but they are drier. And you've got a slightly charred finish to some of the skins, which I love. It's personal preference how far you want to take it, really. Okay, so what do you use them for? I've mentioned the salads and the soups and stirring them in, and you can blitz them into a dip. You can store them as well in a Kilner jar. Put the tomatoes in a sterilised Kilner jar, the one with the clasping lid, and then you top up the tomatoes with oil, preferably the olive oil, and then that keeps the air away from the tomatoes, and then you can store those in the fridge for up to a month. The recipes are taken today from our Honeybuns all day cookbook. It's full of, I know I'm biased, but it really is. I've been cooking from it a lot during lockdown, and your feedback has been amazing as well. The recipes are all gluten-free, and we've got a really good range of vegan and dairy-free and nut-free as well. So that's where the recipes are from if you're interested. Thanks ever so much for watching. If you do like the videos that we're doing, then it would be brilliant if you could share them and tag us and all that stuff. So you'll find the videos on YouTube and Honeybuns Bakery on Instagram. Yeah, we'd really appreciate that, and any comments that you've got and any photos that you've got as well, it'd be really nice to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Bye.